Goals work to increase income, pursue purpose, and live more abundantly. Hi, I'm your host, Larry Stevenson at GoalsWork Institute, and let's make goals work for you. First, our model. The GoalsWork model is simple. Take the word goals as an acronym for G, go for it. O, others will help. A, act regularly. L, label liabilities. And S, synergize monthly. Go for it, others will help. Act regularly, label limitations, and synergize monthly. Goals work. Let's begin by sharing that some people have used these to increase the income of their business. One gentleman that we know had an 8-year-old business, used the GoalsWork model, and in 3 years he had tripled, no, in 6 months he had tripled his income. Another business owner used it to unload some brick-and-mortar stores, open an online business through Amazon, and is now doing a multi-million-dollar business with really incredible margins. In addition to that, this can be used for all kinds of personal reasons, to be able to buy homes, to be able to buy boats, to travel, to change jobs, to change your personality, and to contribute. We're going to talk about each of those as part of it. So first, let's start with G. Go for it. Go for it means go for what you want to do. That may be climbing the highest peak in the United States, every one of the 50 states. It may be writing stories. It may be running a marathon. It may be doing a lot of different things. So write down what you want to do and go for what you want to do. Next, go for what you want to buy, what you want to own. It may be a new house, it may be a new car, it may be an upgraded computer, it may be a jet ski. And we need to say this about going for what you own. It's important to be able to buy the necessities, but if we get too hung up on just this facet of owning things, we can become very materialistic. The GoalsWork model will balance for an entirely well-founded life of doing things, of buying things, also of being things. Go for being what you want to be. It may be a job, being an accountant, being a finance person. It may be being kinder. It may be being more aggressive. It may be more forgiving. It may be whatever you want to change about what you are and who you are, you can change that. Being more healthy, being more fit. All of those, go for being what you want to be. Next, go for what you want to travel, what you want to visit. Write down those places you'd like to visit. Kristen did this. She has now been to over 22 countries, including going to Disneyland 5 times a year because she loves Disneyland. She has been to Paris, Netherlands, Belgium. The list goes on and on. Asia, all over. You can make lists of where you want to go, and using the GoalsWork model, you can go for where you want to visit. And finally, go for what you want to contribute. Go for your legacy. A lot of people set a goal to become a multimillionaire before they're 30 or to become a multimillionaire in their lifetime. I've always been impressed with Bill Gates. And the Bill and Linda Gates Foundation, he started giving back and contributing to society so early. But what impressed me even more is of the 124 multimillionaires he created inside of Microsoft, he gave courses to all of them on how to give generously to others and set up their own 501c3 and charitable foundations. You may not be doing what Bill Gates does, but you can give back to your community by reading to the shut-ins, going to an Alzheimer's unit and reading or singing to them. You can give back by helping refugees. You can give back in so many ways. Write down what you want to do to go for contributions to society. That's the go for it model. Once you've established what those goals are that you want to go for, the next thing is to recognize that others will help. For example, A lot of people have already achieved your goal. They may have already sailed the South Pacific. They may have already made their multimillionaire. And the really neat thing is a lot of them have written books sharing how they did that. And so that you can use those books to figure out how to do it yourself. You can take the parts that apply to you, the parts that are good, and you can learn from others who have already accomplished your goal. It may be a neighbor who has already been on a trip you want to go to. It can be someone who already bought what you want to buy, and they can help you learn how to do that. LinkedIn, social media gives us such an amazing array to reach out to articles and posts and blogs that people have done describing what they've done, but also where you can reach out to them and ask questions. Ask questions as simple as, I would like to do this. What ideas do you have on how I could do that? And recognizing not all ideas are going to be good ideas, but you'll get enough good ideas to be able to do something, which brings us to the next part of the model. But before we go, I've got to say this. Others will help by being your cheering squad. They will encourage you and help you overcome the limitations that are come and help you keep going. And they can be such a cheer squad for you. Now, with all that, it's time to act. Act regularly. Do something every single month. It may be something as simple as reading or studying. If you want to sail the South Pacific in a 3-masted schooner, take time to find out what islands in the South Pacific you want to visit. Take time to find out what schooners are available to charter or to work on in the South Pacific. You can study on how to learn a language. You can study how to sing. There are things that you can learn to do through YouTube and other things. In addition, you can take courses. The gentleman who tripled his business income in 6 months after 8 years of static non-growth took a couple of courses at a small business development center, implemented what he learned, and that helped him move forward. You can also just do something. Fill out an application. Look at Google Flights to find the best flights and the cost savings that you can do. Just go online, do something that may not be online. This is a group of people who set a goal to longboard down a 23-mile canyon with no problems. And they did something every month, a little bit at a time, growing and improving their ability until here they are halfway through that 23-mile trip where they just did something every month that got them closer to it. Now, the next part is to label your limitations. We all have limitations. There are going to be things that appear to be huge barriers to us being able to accomplish our goals. All limitations really can be divided into 3 types of limitations. The first, I'll call scope. Scope are the desired limitations you've had. The friend who hiked the 50 highest peaks in the United States. The scope was 50 states, highest peak, 3 years, and he had a budget, and that was what he had for the scope. Another person had a scope to get to a certain position at work within 2 years, and that was the scope, and so they set up the scope on what it was they wanted to do. Those are desired. Now, some limitations aren't desired, but they're real. Typically, these can be time, money, skills, other things. The truth about real limitations is they respond to a plan. You can find a way to overcome that limitation. For example, one family of 8 wanted to take their whole family to Disney World. They didn't have a huge income. They planned 18 months in advance, and they set a budget for each of the kids to earn so much money to cover their airfare and part of food. And they found a way to get past that money problem. The third kind of limitations are unreal. I call them windmills, based on Don Quixote's statement where he saw giants and everyone else just saw a windmill. Windmills do not respond to plans. They're illogical. For example, one may be if you tell your family you want to be a musician, and they're all accountants, they may have a tendency to say, oh, that's silly. We're accountants. In which case, you've got to overcome that negative feeling inside of you. I had one lady who wanted to write. And every time she told her family she wanted to write, they told her, you can't do that. You can't make money. You can't do that. So she got her job at an ad agency, but didn't get in the copyright division. After hearing this model and working on it for a couple of months, she came to me and she said, I've quit my job. I'm going to do freelance as a production assistant on commercials, and I'm going to the family cabin and I'm just going to write. Every 3 months she would call me and she'd say, I can't do this. And I'd say, okay, how much money did you make? She says, well, I made more money doing freelance than I did on my job, but I can't do this. I'd say, have you written anything? Yeah, I've written 10 short stories this month, but I can't do this. And I'd say, come on in, we'll talk about it. And she never came in. But every 3 months she'd call me with, I can't do this. We would talk through it, give her, it wasn't logical. She'd get around it and come back to it. At the end of 2.5 years, she had written something like 215 short stories and 3 novels. She hadn't submitted any of them for publication because that wasn't her goal. Her scope was just to write. And she did it. Another option is to synergize monthly. Synergize monthly occurs by setting up a mastermind team. This mastermind team meets together, 4 to 5 people. They get together every month for about 90 minutes. The agenda is a 3-part agenda. First, each person shares what they have done since the last meeting and what the results have been from that action. Second, they brainstorm and each person gets their time to ask for help from the group. It may be help with a problem. It may be to take a look at some material they've developed and give feedback. It may be to have a challenge and come up with ideas to overcome the challenge. And after that, each person then takes and they set 4 to 5 action steps they're going to do before the next meeting. Simple agenda. But crucial to it is everybody takes their turn. If you've got 4 cookies and 5 children, you know that every child is going to get a piece of the cookie. If you have 4 children and a mother and only 4 cookies, you know the mother's going to sacrifice. In a mastermind group, everyone takes their time. Everyone's goal is as important as everyone else's. So that's the model. Goals work because you go for it, others will help, you act regularly, you label your limitations, and you synergize monthly. And when you do those 5 things, goals will happen. You will see changes occur in your life. Once again, this is Larry Stevenson encouraging you to make goals work for you. Learn more on our YouTube channel at the GoalsWork Institute or the Larry Stevenson Group Facebook page. Or I'm Larry Stevenson on LinkedIn. I'd love to connect with you. Thank you.